Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on the last Tuesday in July 2024. Last Friday, if you watched the last video, I dragged in my 49 Chevrolet truck project. And I've been deciding in my head, going back and forth, what I'm going to put for an engine in it. It's going to be LS. I have quite a few, takeouts out of 4853, and I think I used all the 6.0s, Gen 3 and Gen 4, I suppose. Takeouts, they're right out of the truck. And if you've ever listened to my story about LS swapping my Dodge D150, I set the engine in it, wired it all up. Never even intended on using that engine, but I used it for mock-up. Now I had all the wiring mocked up, the fuel lines mocked up. You can see where this is going. I figured I'd try and fire it up. And immediately it skipped and popped and then hung an injector open, flooded the cylinder and locked the engine right up, stopped turning. As luck would have it, I pulled out the first plug, which was number 2. That was the easiest to get to, front on the passenger side. And about a gallon of gas came running out of it. And then the engine would turn again. So I went out. I had a fresher engine that I'd heard run, within the last year, take out. And I just popped the rack of injectors out of it, put it in the Dodge. And that 5.3 has never missed a beat since. But the lesson here is all the engines I have sitting around that have been here for years, they've probably been out of the vehicle 4 or 5 years minimum, probably longer if I do the math. Every one of them is going to have the same fate, because when the engines were pulled out of their rusty trucks, that's the only reason they were removed. Around here in the Northeast, the truck gives up long before the powertrain. So if I was to pull one of those out, I have one in mind. It's sitting in the other side of the garage. It's a 5.3. It's complete. A little bit of cleanup externally on the engine, and it would be sufficient if that's what I decide to use. So I'm sitting Saturday thinking the injectors are going to be a problem. I can either A, buy all new injectors. That gets pricey because I have, I'm going to use 2 of those takeout engines that I have laying around before the year's out this year. So that'd be 2 sets of injectors I'd have to buy. That really doesn't make any sense. Hence, what we're looking at here. I did a very minimal, even for me, research, and this Autool, A-U-T-O-O-L, Autool brand seems to be very popular, probably the most popular imported, i.e. affordable injector cleaner. There's quite a few models. This is a 160, CT160, and it was a price point that I thought was palatable. It was $230 and change, and there's quite a few videos online. I watched a couple of them. Certainly not hard to use. Conceptually, it should do the job. I had somewhere around here a box of used injectors that I'm going to practice on. I'm getting ahead of myself. What you get in the box is this rig. All I had to do was put the spray bar on, attach the hose. There's a couple drain valves on the back. You can drain out both the ultrasonic cleaner. It has an ultrasonic cleaner on the top that you actually power up the injector while it's sitting in your cleaning fluid. Trying to get rid of stubborn deposits, I suppose. And of course the testing beakers on the front, that uses mineral spirits. I got a gallon of it over there. For the cleaning fluid and the ultrasonic, I'm gonna probably use a fuel injected cleaner. I have a gallon of Berryman B12 coming any minute now, but maybe even before the video's over. So then I would have all my liquid, Then I just have to find some test injectors, and we'll be making, a mess probably. So you get this rig, you gotta put the cord on, put the valves on the back. After I did that, I mean, it's intuitive. I read the brief instructions. The front half is American or English, the back half is Chinese, I suppose. But I was impressed. This thing, I didn't realize it when I bought it. It has a 3-year warranty. I'm not sure with who or how you would ever, get the warranty fulfilled, but it's probably in here. And that's somewhat comforting. But, I've seen some advertised that'll do 6, which didn't make any sense to me, injectors at a time, or even 8. And I'm okay with 4 at a time. I can clean one bank of injectors at a time. It takes up less space, less fluid, less wiring to hook up. If I hooked up 8, probably 7 of them would work and one of them would have a bad connection. So this just kind of simplifies things in my mind. I had this tackle box sitting around. I've already filled it with the wire connectors. It comes with a bunch of O-rings and a bunch of adapters. So you can adapt the inlet of the injectors onto the spray bar. These plugs come out. You can test just 1 injector or 2, or how many you want, up to 4, obviously. The wiring plugs in right here. It's a pretty simple rig. Digital readout on the front. You got a mechanical fuel pressure gauge. You can change the fuel pressure right here. And then there's a bunch of functional tests. But now I'm really getting ahead of myself. Not knowing anything about injector cleaning, I think, hey, you just throw a dirty injector in there and, magically it's brand new. Well, not quite. Just like my big parts washer, if you go ahead and buy a big parts washer, put it in your garage and tell your friends, and they're going to say, hey, will you clean something for me? And they're going to bring you the nastiest, greasiest stuff, and you're going to put it in your nice, clean parts washer. And then all that goop is now in your parts washer. And you do that a few times, and then you get to spend your Saturday afternoon cleaning out your parts washer. So I soon learned I don't even let myself put anything very dirty in my big parts washer. I clean it first. Scrape, whatever. Sometimes I pressure wash it outside, and then I'll wash it. My parts washer, this machine, no different. The more contamination you put in it, the more you got to clean it out. So there's that. So what I understand the process to be, if I had a used injector, and we're going to do it in the next video when I find the box, we'll mess around with the settings, but I thought we should get a little groundwork down first. You need to physically clean the outside of the injector. They all have an inlet screen, and electronic fuel injectors are kind of neat. You can blow up through the nozzle with carb cleaner and air, and believe it or not, you can put the nozzles in this machine backwards if you have a tough one you need to clean, and you can reverse flush it. So that's pretty neat, but you need to get it as clean as possible and then get it in the tester and go ahead and check your spray pattern if they match up or whatever, and good chance they probably don't. That's when you're gonna use, they give you a cool little injector holder. Odd, it holds 8. And your little bathtub back here. And I'm going to use Berryman B12. You have an option of heating it. I don't think I'm probably going to heat that stuff. But you actually put the tip of the injector in the little holder. Fill the injector, maybe fill the tub maybe halfway up. And power it right up and let it sit with the ultrasonic running and the injector pulsing. It's a cleaning mode, so I don't think it pulses as fast as it even would if the engine was idling, but it just pops it every so often, all 4 of them, and 10 minutes, I think, is a timer on the front, probably 10 minutes out of whack, and you probably see a lot of stuff have come out of the injector. Some say that's hot in the injector, but from my perspective, these injectors are junk if I don't clean them. If I can make them work and I can test them afterwards, and the testing afterwards, you can test for leaks. You can test them at idle. There's acceleration test, shifting test. It'll be on and off the throttle, I suppose. I haven't tried them yet, but again, you can check them for leaks. I think I mentioned that. And then you can check, compare each one. There's an actual flow test where you compare all 2, 3, 4, how many you have in there, to make sure they're all putting out about the same. The beakers are all graduated, so that looks kind of fun. And again, for the testing, it's going to be mineral spirits, and all you do with the funnel they give you, this is the drain valve right here in the middle. So you open that, you go ahead and put the mineral spirits in. There's a sight glass on the side, tells you when the cleaning solution, the testing solution, got to get it right. I'm a rookie here. So the testing solution is mineral spirits, which also has a cleaning effect, and you can probably test with it a few times. Again, you can drain it out of the back, probably into a separate container. I'm not going to put it back in my new mineral spirits, but whoops. And the same goes for the Berryman. I don't know if it'll be reusable or not. I watched one guy carefully drain it out, and the debris stayed in the little bathtub, so that'll be interesting. But I'm hoping not only eventually down the road, I could test my good injectors, my known good injectors like on the race car, but this is more a salvage operation, trying not to have to buy bushels of injectors when you have perfectly good ones sitting right there. You just need to clean them out. So I think it's going to be fun. I saw my first electronic fuel injector in like the fall of 1985. I was working at the Chrysler dealer, and nobody was sure what to think. I mean, new technology, everybody's afraid. Turns out, originally throttle body and then eventually sequential EFI. It's pretty cool stuff and reliable. I mean, you don't see a lot of injectors going bad. I've been driving fuel-injected vehicles since about that time, off and on. I hung on to carburetors for a long time, but by the end of the 80s, I did have a throttle body 350 Chevy pickup that I put a lot of miles on, and many fuel-injected vehicles after that, and I've never had a bad injector. On a vehicle I was driving on a regular basis, I had an engine I bought, a TBI 350, and that did have sticky injectors. But anyway, pretty reliable. But they do get a lot of fuel in them. Modern vehicles don't even have an inline fuel filter anymore. They have the sock in the tank and then the little ejector screen, and that's what you get. So you don't see a lot of fuel filters these days. So that is also very telling to the reliability of the electronic fuel injector. And just like that, O'Reilly Auto Parts dropped off my Berryman. Saturday night when I bought this, I don't know if I mentioned how quick it came when I bought it, but Saturday night around midnight, maybe even Sunday I bought it. Now that I think about it, I put it in my cart Saturday night and thought about it and pushed the button Sunday morning. Here it is Tuesday, slightly afternoon, and it's already here. So I also bought 12 cans of this stuff before I found that they weren't going to be here for a couple weeks, and you got a new toy, you want to play with it. So it does say flammable, so I don't think I'll be using the heater, but seems like a good idea. And mineral spirits, get that anywhere. All right. Well, that's short and sweet for this afternoon. Within a day or so, I'm either going to pull a rack of injectors out of one of the engines I want to use or mess around with my old ones. And if I can get a clean set of 8 and continue to swap them into whatever I want to use and then clean up the set I get out, that'd be all right too. So, all right, take her easy. Catch you in a couple days.